Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome back. For every topic that you search in YouTube, there are so many videos uploaded for that particular topic alone. And to filter out the junk and find the right one that really helps you is really a challenging task. It's really wanting to see so many videos talk about the same topic, say Ratha Saptami, and still gives out their own version of it, especially when it comes to the Vrata part. And now, when we are in such a confused situation, we are stranded as to which one is really true. That's why we try to quote everything from the actual scriptures just to help you clear off all those doubts. Also, it's really very important to understand the essence of the scriptures and to appreciate the secret that lies deep within, just like in this Ratha Saptami's case also. For example, for your surprise, what if we say, it's not that Ratha Saptami itself is so important, but the day on which Ratha Saptami falls is more important than Ratha Saptami itself. Something new, right? So much more we need to know about that particular day on which Ratha Saptami event falls than Ratha Saptami. Okay, we'll start straight on the day on which Ratha Saptami falls. That is Magha Shukla Saptami. This is simple. More than being simple, it's very interesting. Just pick up your Panchanga and look around Feb and March and find where the full moon falls and see if that day meets with the star Magha. Yes, that's the month's name, Magha Masa. 15 days before and 15 days after that full moon day makes 1 month, and they call it as one Chandramana Masa. And the beauty is, the name of each month is actually derived from the name of the star that falls on full moon day. Just like Chaitra, Vaishaka, Kartika, etc. All months' name are names of the star that join exactly with the full moon. Cool, right? Isn't that scientific? But you see, we follow the Western calendar system where we say September, October, November, which literally means 7, 8 and 9. But practically they are the 9th, 10th and 11th month. So funny that even the names doesn't have any relevance in it. Anyways, so the month which has the nakshatra Magha that falls in a full moon is called Magha Masa. And as we have said earlier, that month would have already started some 15 days ago, that is immediately after Amavasya, where the moon's phase grows from nothing to full moon is called Shukla Paksha, or bright moon phase, or bright fortnight, whatever you may call. In that phase, the 7th day is called Saptami, Magha Masa Shukla Paksha Saptami. Now, not just in Magha Masa Saptami Tithi, but any Tithi that falls on bright or dark fortnight in any month is very dear to Lord Surya Deva, the sun god. And the reason is because the Varaha Purana says, once way long back, that is on the first Manvantara, at the very beginning phase of this Kalpa, where everything was slowly getting into shape, the sun god, Surya Deva, was scorching everything, literally burning everything, and the Devas couldn't bear this. And because of that, they approached the great luminous Lord and praised him and requested him to be gracious in appearance. Then, upon their request, it is on this particular day, Saptami Tithi, that the great Lord took a physical form. That is why it is very special to Lord Surya Deva. Now we know why Saptami is so close to Lord Surya Deva. But this Magha Masa Shukla Saptami is even more special because that on this very day alone, there are many different vratas that people observed in olden days, not just Ratha Saptami. Just to give you a list, on this very day, Achala Saptami Vrata is observed, Putrada Saptami Vrata, Arogya Saptami, and also Ratha Saptami Vrata is observed. Now, what does that mean? That means this particular day is very, very special, and we call it as Punya Kala. Just like the 12 Sankrantis or the Surya Grahana solar eclipse, which is considered a very potent astro combination that gives you great punya and purges many sins, these days are considered very special. Now, all these vratas that are mentioned above are meant to be observed on this very day. And one cannot observe all vratas at the same time, right? But one can choose to observe any one vrata that's mentioned above according to one's need. If you are desiring or wanting a worthy child, observe Putrada Saptami. And wishing for good health, observe Arogya Saptami. If you wish to purge huge piles of sins, observe Achala Saptami. And if you want to become a Chakravartin, a great king in your next birth, observe Ratha Saptami. And as you guessed, all these vratas are focused on Lord Surya Deva only. And the great Lord gives you everything, Just that the method of observing each one of these vratas alone differs. So the rules and regulation of observing the vratas and the intention to observe differs. That's the key. And nowadays, as we all know, this Ratha Saptami Vrata is alone considered so special that it almost dominated every other vratas mentioned above. This must have happened over time. Maybe because this vrata alone grants you everything that is mentioned on those other vratas. And people started to observe this as the main vrata when Magha Shukla Saptami falls. And because of this transition, many of us are not aware of those other vratas that falls on the same day. Also, those who are not familiar about the Shastras started to say that Ratha Saptami is otherwise called Achala Saptami, Putrada Saptami and so on. That's not true. And now, we clearly know from the Puranas that they are not one and the same. Each of these vratas have different rules to observe and they are intended for different results. Okay, now we will talk about this Ratha Saptami. What is this vrata? How it started? What is the related vrata katha, that is a story related to this vrata, and how to observe this vrata and all that. It is said in a couple of Puranas that on this very day, at the very beginning of the creation, the sun lord Surya Deva obtained his chariot. He got into his ratha, and that is why it is called Ratha Saptami. And on this day, Lord Surya is mainly worshipped with his chariot. Of course, with the charioteer Aruna, the elder brother of the great Garuda. And this Aruna is the one who swiftly rides the majestically brilliant single-wheeled sun's chariot. He is said to be in reddish-orange color. And many of you should be familiar with the terms Arunodaya, Suryodaya, right? That is, before the actual sunrise, Suryodaya, we see this reddish-orange light that appears in the horizon. That is what is called Arunodaya. This is signifying the charioteer who comes first, Arunodaya, before we actually see the sunrise, Suryodaya. So in this vrata, the chariot, the rider of the chariot, and the lord of the chariot, the great Lord Surya, are all worshipped together on this very day. That is the significance of Ratha Saptami. This is really a great vrata and is being observed from a very long time. And relating to this vrata, there is a famous story. And Lord Sri Krishna narrates this to Dharmaraja Yudhishthira. Once in the land of Kamboja, there lived a king by name Yashovarman. And only at his very old age, he was blessed with a son. Even that son was suffering from varied ailments. And because of this, the king was very much worried. To know the cause of his son's disease, he consulted with a wise Brahmana and said, "O venerable sir, please tell me what sin did my son do, and because of which he is suffering like this." For that, the Mahatman replied, "This boy of yours, in his last birth, was a Vaishya and a miser, and have not done any kind of charity. But by chance, he happened to witness a great vrata called Ratha Saptami, which was actually performed by another man. And just because of that merit, he had this great good fortune to be born in a king's family as your son. But still, because of not doing any charity and being a miser, he had to suffer all these ailments in this very birth." Again, the king asked that Brahmana about what is the remedy to ward off this misfortune. Now, the Brahmana Mahatman said, "If one can attain to such a great birth just by witnessing this vrata, then, O king, you should observe this Ratha Saptami vrata by yourself to ward off your son's earlier sins and also to earn great punya." Now the king became curious and asked about the proper way to observe the whole vrata in detail. Then that Tapaswin Brahmana related all those vrata vidhis, rules and regulations, like starting the vrata on Shashti by eating just once at night, waking up early in the morning on Saptami and taking bath at Arunodaya, offering Arghya, water offering to Surya Deva, worshipping the sun god in a wonderful chariot with the charioteer and the horses that's made out of gold, and do puja with 16 different varieties of offerings and services. We call it as Shodashopachara, like Dhupa, Deepa, Naivedya, Arati, etc. to the great brilliant Lord of the universe. And then finally on the 8th day, Ashtami, feed the Brahmanas with their heart's content and give away in charity that golden chariot and Dakshina and send them off respectfully and so on. Listening to all these rules, the king then observed the vrata following all the regulations with complete faith and devotion upon Lord Surya Deva. And by the grace of the great luminous Lord, his son recovered from all the ailments. Further, his son was blessed with many sons and grandchildren. And after his death, he attained to Surya Loka and stayed there for a period of 1 kalpa. After his merit was over there, he was born again on earth and became a great Chakravarti. Now Lord Krishna himself says, "O Yudhishthira, It is heard from the Puranas that this son of Yashovarman in earlier Kalpa was later born in the great Ikshvaku Vamsa as the ruler of the whole world, Chakravarti Mandhata. So to those who observe this vrata with faith will easily please Suryadeva, and he will grant all that one wishes for, like health, wealth, even Chakravartitvam, that is to be the ruler of the whole world. Then Shri Krishna says, also to those who just listen to this very episode that describes the greatness of Ratha Saptami with faith, even by this very little act, he pleases the great glorious Lord Suryadeva. And by the Lord's grace, he will be free from all kind of fears eternally. So that's the story part. Now, to keep the video shorter, we have not explained the ritualistic part elaborately. All the Arghyam, Snanam, Puja mantras and the procedures will be explained in another video. Video link will appear in the top right corner of the screen. But if you are one among those who wants to keep the ritual simple, you may follow the below guidance as much as possible. That is, on Ratha Saptami day, take bath before sunrise. Avoid hot water. Try to do fasting according to one's capacity, either complete fast or water fast. If not possible, try with just fruits and milk. At least try avoiding rice, curd, spice and salt. And worship Lord Suryadeva with bhakti. Offer some flowers, incense. If possible, try reciting any Surya Stotras like Aditya Hridayam or Surya Sthavaraja, which are all his very favorite. And finally, do some charity on this day. It is very much rewarding. It yields you great punya in multifold times. That's why this day is called Koti Bhaskara and is equivalent to doing charity on solar eclipse, Surya Grahana day. And if you ask us how to make the charity more worthy, we can split it in this way. That is, those who are already very well acquainted with the tradition can follow it accordingly. For others, do charity to those who are more selfless, knowledgeable, pure-minded, and at the same time needy. Then your charity will really reap great merits. Just for the sake of doing charity, to give away to worthless amounts to nothing. And Bhagavan Krishna says, if you are really not affordable, still perform the puja with whatever is in your capacity. After all, the great Lord looks only for your pure devotion. And by the grace of Lord Suryadeva, may all of us prosper righteously. Hara Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva.